Hi, this is Landon again. Going to do a quick video today about full diminished chords or whole diminished chords. Let's talk about a diminished chord. So, a regular diminished chord, we're going to use in the key of C. Right now, I'm just going to use C as an example. So, you would usually start with a minor, so a C minor chord, okay? To make it diminished, you're going to take the 5. So C, E flat, G. The G is the 5 note of the scale of C, and you're going to flat that. Okay, so that's a C diminished chord. You can add the minor 7 with that, which will be flat, B flat. Okay, but that's a C diminished chord. Now a full diminished is what you're going to do is you're going to take your 7, that flat 7 there, and flat that one more time. So basically come to your 6. All right, so C diminished whole or full or flat 7 is going to be your C, E flat, G flat, and A. Okay, now you can put these in any arrangement of notes that you want, like that. G flat first, A, C, E flat. Now the thing about this is that there's 3 chords to learn. 3, just 3, and that's all the whole diminished chords for every chord, for every note. And that is the first one starts with F, A flat, B, and D in any order that you want for those, okay? And so any of those notes involved, F, A flat, B, and D, those combination of notes is the whole diminished or full diminished chord for any of those notes. So the one I just showed you for C, G flat, A, C, and E flat, that is the full diminished chord for any one of those notes. And then the last one is G, B flat, D flat, and E. That's the full diminished chord for all of those notes. So now let's talk about, that's the full diminished chords right there, all 3 of those. So let's talk about how to use it in a song. So in the key of C, there's several places you can use that full diminished chord, and this will apply to any key. I'm going to just show you a C because it's easy, and most people know how to play in the key of C. But then you can translate it and go into any key you want. So C being from the 1 going to your 6 minor 7, or any chord going into your 6 minor 7 or A minor 7, you can use the E full diminished, or it's called the actual chord is called flat 7 or 7 flat 9. Sorry, E 7 flat 9. But what that really is that you're going to play an F diminished chord or a D full diminished over E. And I'm going to show you a trick to remember this. Okay, so you can play that over A minor 7. Okay, so that again. So going from like C, G over B, that chord, to A minor 7. So that again, that technical name for that chord, because E is in the root, is E7 flat 9. And basically what you're doing is you're playing an E chord, you're making it a dominant 7, so that's where your D comes from, your A flat and B, and then you're taking the 2 or the 9 because you have a 7 in there, and you're flattening that. So instead of playing a G flat here for your E, you're playing an F. And notice that makes the D full diminished chord. So the trick is you're going to go from A, you're going to, which is basically the 5th note in the scale of A. So A1, B2, if you're doing major, right? C sharp is 3, D is 4, E is 5. So you're going from the 5th note, the 5 of A to A. So you're playing an E7 flat 9 chord. But to find that chord, instead of trying to remember every 7 flat chord for every note, you're just going to remember the 3 diminished chords, and you're going to say, what's the 7 of E, the flat 7, or the minor 7 of E is D. So I'm going to play that full diminished chord over E to the A minor 7. Now you don't have to put E in the bass. So if I'm going from like C, I can just play that chord and then go there. Okay. So that's one way to choose. Another way is just using that straight up 7 flat 9 basically chord going in as the fifth of any chord you're going to. So like if I'm going into F from C, I can play that C7 flat 9 chord, or if I go down, my flat 7 is B flat, which is B flat full diminished over C to F. Okay? And it especially sounds great if you're going to F, if you do a G minor first, which is the 2 of F. Sounds pretty smooth. Now, it may sound a little complicated, but I'm going to break this down a little bit later. Another place we use this full diminished chord is when we are moving from the 6 minor chord, like A minor 7, and we want to go down to F, the 4. So you can walk that down, okay, and you can do one of two plays. You can do the G minor 7 to that C 7 flat 9, or that B flat diminished chord over F, or you can use another one. You can do G minor 7 coming from A minor 7, right? G minor 7, A minor 9 is what I'm playing, and then we're going to do that full G flat diminished chord to the F. Okay, to walk it down. Okay. Or there's another option. From that G minor chord, you can do that G flat 7 flat 9 chord. So we'll go to that G and then go to the 7 flat, which is an E. So I could play that E full diminished chord over G flat to the F. So it sounds like this from A minor. Whatever you like to hear the best. Now, one more use in the key of C that you could do is when you're going to your 2 minor chord. Pretty much from any chord, but usually it sounds better coming from the 4 or 6, kind of going to that. But going into the 2 minor, you can do the note right before it. So the 2 is D minor 7, D minor 9, right, is in C. So before we play that full D flat diminished chord into that. Okay? So if I'm going from G minor 7, sounds pretty, right? To G7, back to 1. Okay, so we are using that whole diminished chord going into A, the 6, going into the 2, D minor 7, going into the 4. I don't use it a lot going into the G unless I'm, walking up from F. But I don't tend to like it a lot. If anything, I would do probably the D7 flat 9 going into that, because that's the 5th. So I would pull the. But usually on the 5, it resolves, and that kind of sounds weird. So I usually don't. I just play the D minor or a D7. So most of the time, I use that full diminished chord as a passing chord, either going into the 2 from a half step like that. I'll play the 5th of the A minor, so I'll do an E7 or the D diminished over E going into A. I will play it going from going from A minor 7 to F. I'll walk it down from that G minor 7 to either the full diminished G flat or the E diminished over G flat to F. And so that's the chord right there that you can really use in a lot of different capacities as a passing chord. Now, real quick to break down what I was saying over. So it's just something to help me remember the 7 flat 9 chord. Is I just want to repeat that one more time. So if I'm doing E7 flat 9, so instead of having to always do the major 7 flat 9 of everything, I always just look at the dominant 7 note and just play that full diminished chord over the bass of the note I'm wanting the 7 flat 9 chord. So I hope that makes sense. So for E, I want an E7 flat 9, but I'm going to play a D full diminished over E because D is the 7 flat, or the dominant 7 of E. So anytime you want to use that 7 flat 9 chord, which is really a really amazing chord to go into another chord, you can use that full diminished chord over that root note. So that's the basics of full diminish. Another way to use it besides just the passing chord is the individual notes for runs, especially from that going to that 6 or the 2 minor, 6 minor and 2 minor. So if I'm in C, instead of playing that diminished 7, I'll do that little, those notes, arpeggio, that D full D diminished. I'm not using the E. I'm just doing those notes before I roll into my 6 minor 7. So okay, you can do the same thing going, maybe I'm going from my 6 minor to my 2 minor, so I can use that D flat diminished chord. So instead of using that whole chord, I can use those notes. So okay. So that D minor 9 sounds really, really smooth. Kind of messed that roll up there. So instead of playing the whole chord, you can use the notes. So this full diminished chords can be used as passing chords, or you can just use the notes that make up that chord to use as passing notes or melodic notes to get to that chord. So that's kind of a way you can use the full diminished chord. I hope this helps. I hope it wasn't too convoluted. Let me know if it was, and I may can clear it up and break it down some more. So thank you for watching this video.